Hello, and welcome to the 505 tutorial for Installation Basics, Power, and Boot Up. In this tutorial, we will review Installation Basics, Applying Power, and Booting Up the 505 controller unit. You will be working with the controller often, so it is important to install and power it on properly. The industrial-grade internal components of the 505 include a central processing unit, or CPU, memory, a switching power supply, several relays and input-output circuitry, and all electronics for a front panel display, including a touch keypad and serial communications. As you can see here, the 505 controller is housed in a flush mount enclosure. This enclosure is designed for installation within a control room panel or cabinet with the front display and keypad accessible to the operator. The standard 505 package must be mounted to allow sufficient room for wiring access. If you turn the 505 around, you will notice 8 1032 screw holes that allow secure mounting. The screw holes are blind, meaning they do not come through the front of the unit, so be sure to use the correct length of mounting screws. The holes are tapped to a minimum depth of 0.312 inches. The manual contains mounting information to choose the proper screw length relative to the panel thickness, so you do not exceed this depth into the bezel. The manual contains mounting dimensions as well. The 505 package meets NEMA 4X ratings when it is properly installed with a NEMA 4X panel or cabinet. A gasket is attached to the rear side of the package's bezel to properly seal the 505's faceplate to a panel. All field wiring connects to the 505 through removable terminal blocks located on the back side of the 505. The 505's terminal blocks are designed so they can be removed easily by hand. To remove them, unscrew the two screws, one each on either side of the connector. Then, pull the connector gently away. Be careful to not pull any of the wires connected to the terminal block. It is recommended that you remove the power terminal block prior to removing any of the other connectors. Wires for the fixed mounted power terminals should be stripped 5 to 6 millimeters, or 0.22 inches. Wires for the pluggable input-output terminals should be stripped 8 to 9 millimeters, or 0.33 inches long. Input power to the 505 hardware is provided on the back of the panel through a 3-position latching terminal block with removable plug. High-voltage AC or DC units have an orange connector, and low-voltage DC units have a green connector. The range for low-voltage units is 18 to 36 volts DC. Woodward recommends a circuit breaker or power line fuse of 8 amperes to protect the power wiring network from possible short circuits. The range of high-voltage unit input is 88 to 264 volts AC, or 90 to 150 volts DC. The input frequency ranges from 45 to 65 Hz. Maximum input power for AC should not exceed 73 watts and 1.6 amperes. Here, Woodward recommends a circuit breaker or power line fuse of 3.5 amperes to protect the power wiring network from possible short circuits. The plug used is side entry, rated for 12 amperes, and latches when screwed down. The orange-colored plug, shown here, is the high-voltage supply. Again, the low-voltage models have a green plug. Pin 1 is for line input 1 power. Pin 2 is for line input 2 power. And Pin 3 is for earth or shield connections. Once power is correctly applied, the unit will boot up. During boot up, the I/O lock LED will illuminate, but the screen will remain black. After about 1 minute, the 505 splash screen will display, and the tripped, CPU, and alarm LEDs will flash quickly. After about 1 minute and 10 seconds, the tripped and CPU LEDs will turn on, and the I/O locks LED will turn off. At around 1 minute and 30 seconds, the alarm LED will flash. Finally, after about 3 minutes, the unit will be powered on. Once the unit has booted up, you will see one of two screens. If the unit has not yet been configured, the factory boot up screen displays. From this screen, you can access the configuration menu, the service menu, the internal 505 tutorials, and the site info screen. Please note that the Changing Modes and Languages tutorial identifies which screens from the configuration menu need to be configured for a minimum configuration. If the unit has been configured, the main or home screen displays. Please note that all subsequent boot-ups will start directly from the home screen. You now know the installation and power-up basics of the 505 controller. Please be sure to view the other tutorials for more information.